Okay, everybody, when we talk about crowdfunding, one of the biggest questions and concerns I get is people ask me, how do I take the risk out of this? How do I guarantee that my weeks, if not months of work are going to be successful? And that's really what this presentation is all based on, is how to maximize your time and maximize your chances for success and have fun with this whole process. So, for those of you who don't know, crowdfunding is not a new concept. In 1884, Pulitzer ended up crowdfunding $100,000 to erect the Statue of Liberty. It took him a little over 5 months. The average backer was less than $1, and people got little mini statues of this little thing for their contribution. The world newspaper was, quote unquote, the social media of the day, and that's how they got the word out about this. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. So people think that they see these campaigns that raise massive amounts of money like on the first day or two, and they think, hey, all I got to do is shoot this video and do the same thing. It's not how it works. You're going to see that in some later slides. It's not for the lazy, and it takes work, guys, and it takes work and it takes thought, but if you do and you do it correctly, not only are you going to have one successful campaign, but you're going to have a community of fans that are willing to give you money on an ongoing basis. And it's not just for unfunded companies. So this is an organization up the road in Boulder, Colorado. There's a gentleman by the name of Brad Feld who we know who has a VC firm called the Foundry Group. They dropped $7 million into this app company. And besides all that money that they got, they said, well, hey, how do we take this and do something cool with it? And they said, well, hey, let's crowdfund this next new product we're going to bring to market. So this is 3 days in, as of September 19th, $500,000. Okay? 2 weeks left in the campaign, they're at $993,000. Now, people ask, well, how did they do that? How did this work? Well, keep in mind that they did have an existing user base. They had a community of people that were already using the app for the iPhone and the Android, and now they're coming out with this 3D sensing device that they can put on an iPad. So they were able to take one community, roll it into another product, and now they've got over $1 million worth of money free and clear. This is my buddy Larry Roberts. Larry was one of the 4 men credited with starting the internet. He was the chief scientist of the ARPANET project, and he's a true internet pioneer. And he said, you know, Eli, crowdfunding is like the early days of the internet, because back in those days, there's this lie that you could create this really crappy website and put it on the internet, and all this money was going to come pouring in. Well, we all know what happened, right? People were making these really bad investments in these internet companies and slapping them up on the web, and of course, they built it and no one came. Mad Hatter Agency is the organization that I founded, and we are a launch agency focused on launching really cool, innovative ideas. Now, whether that's a product, a service, whatever it is, it has to be cool and it has to be sexy in order for us to even take it on. So we are very unconventional in our approaches, especially marketing. We focus a lot on public relations to get a lot of attention for our clients. Advertising is always a little bit abnormal. A social media strategy, I know that's kind of Greek for a lot of people, but we really take a systematic approach to approaching these different projects and making sure that we can pull this whole thing off. And I'm going to show you some of these things that you can implement right away in your own business to do, like literally today. Growth hacking, if you're not familiar with that term, it's basically taking limited amounts of resources and hacking the system or systems to get you the maximum amount of growth with the least amount of money spent. And then influencer building and video production. So influencer building, you've already seen one example of Larry Roberts, and you'll see some more. So about me, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started my first company at the age of 19. I did not go to college. I ride a Harley motorcycle, and I have 6 sisters. As a result, 90% of our clients are women. I was an early employee at Service Magic. That sold for several $100 million to a company called IAS. And of course, you have Steve Wozniak and myself, who actually met on Facebook using some of these growth techniques and growth hacking techniques I'm going to show you. So how I got started in crowdfunding is I had a consulting company basically building relational capital for organizations. So I was a hired gun, if you want to call it that. People would hire me to reach out to influential people, set up meetings, close deals, whatever it is. The situation always varied. So people that you see on the covers here are people that we've personally met with and worked with. Steve Wozniak, of course. We have Rupert Murdoch and Mayor Bloomberg. All the guys in the cowboy hats. That's 8 presidents from Central and South America. And during this consulting gig, I started working with an organization called Startup America Partnership. We started a web series called Starto TV, and one of our first guests on it was Slava Rubin, who is the CEO of Indiegogo. And I reached out to Slava and I said, hey, I really see this thing called crowdfunding taking off, and I've been an entrepreneur all my life, and I'd love for you if you could just teach me how to do this, and I'll run projects through your platform. So Indiegogo is really big on education. Slava and Adam Chapnick sat down with me and really just went through different data sets. Here's why you do this, here's why you don't do that, here's why you do some of this, here's why you don't do that. And everything that I'm going to show you is based off the research that I've done personally or the research that Indiegogo has taught me as well. So there's 2 success stories that I'm going to point out to you. The first one is a product called Hot Straw. We ended up raising $18,000 for a plastic straw. And I don't know if you know about the straw market, but $18,000, you got to move a lot of straws in order to get that thing off the ground. That led to a pretty significant angel round, and this company's still in business today because of it. The other example down below is a company called Adams Express, and the founder created these little Lego type bricks that you could connect, make interactive toys that you could control with your iPhone. So they had accelerometers built into them, they had little light sensors, crazy little things like that. We had a $100,000 target for that one. We ended up raising $183,000, and that led to over $1 million angel round as well. Now, what you notice is some vast differences between these. A, it's the product, but B, it's also because on the project below, we spent a lot more time in the pre-launch building the community before we ever turned on the juice. So there's nothing worse than working your butt off just to see something fail, and that's really the point of this presentation, is just to say, there's certain things that if you do and do correctly, that you can really hedge success with these different campaigns. And if you don't take this advice, when you fail, you just don't have an excuse. So some quick stats. 60% of all projects fail globally. That's not bad considering that 9 out of every 10 startups fail, but it is bad considering that the average raise is less than $10,000. This is what I call an F&F raise, so it's a friends and family. I'm going to put a project on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo. I'm going to get all my friends and family to give me money, and I'm working within a limited sphere of influence. Now, what I'm going to teach you how to do is do a proper pre-launch and leverage the press to take that $10,000 and turn it to $100,000. So, crowdfunding is like fishing. Everyone can fish, and some more so. And over here to the left, you got the little tyke. He's got his little fish, and he's super excited. And then you got these guys over to the right, and they got some big, huge whale-looking thing. It comes down to the bait. It comes down to where you're fishing, how you're fishing. Are you getting pulled behind a boat, or are you just casting from the shore? All these factors go into how much you fish, and also, of course, how big a fish you can catch. Crowdfunding is the same way. So everyone can crowdfund, some more so. So you get the guy over to the left, and he's 180% funded, right? And he raised $180, and you just want a few bucks just to do his little button and magnet sets. And then you got the guys over to the right with the 10-year hoodie who are marketing a hooded sweatshirt, and they raised over $1 million, and it's due to a pre-launch. So the money will always come after you connect and build your community. Every single time, folks. Without building and connecting with your community, you're basically just trying to sell Amway to strangers on the street. I don't have anything against network marketing, but I'm just using that for an example. So let me prove this out to you. So I started a political movement with some friends a few years ago when the Tea Party first started. While I agreed with a lot of what the Tea Party was saying, I didn't necessarily agree with some of their antics they were using to get their way. So we started a political movement within a few months, built this thing over 400,000 Facebook fans. The media took note. So we've been featured on Fox News, CNN. We were on the front page of the Washington Post and a myriad of other blogs and A-list press organizations. We had zero budget. We were 100% volunteer driven, but we had something to say and we involved people. Okay? So we allowed people to voice their political opinion. We encourage discourse. We encourage people to start discussing these different issues, and we had a plan on moving forward. The most common mistake that I see is that people say, hey, you know, I'm going to set this campaign to 60 days, and that way that'll give me maybe a month to figure it out. That is the absolute worst thing you can do. The absolute worst. Do not do it. Anyone who says you should do it should be lined up and shot. So the best thing that you can do is plan all this stuff out accordingly ahead of time, do a proper pre-launch, reach out to the right influencers, and then you're executing the plan as you launch as opposed to trying to make it up on the fly. You don't build a house without first getting a blueprint and getting a plan in place. You don't start a company or do a crowdfunding campaign without doing the exact same steps. Okay, so here's what crowdfunding looks like. So the first stage is the research and planning stage. This could be a week to two, just depending on how fast your team can move. Then you want to start building and refining. So this isn't a perfect process. You're really just seeking feedback from the community. You're involving your friends and family. You're involving different influencers. And you're having these people help you craft the message. And then when it comes time to launch, you turn on the PR engine, you fire up your social channels, and you really start driving traffic back to either your Kickstarter campaign, your Indiegogo campaign, or whatever platform that you're on. Keep in mind that a good campaign is only going to convert 4 to 5% of the traffic that comes through to the site. So if you're trying to get $100,000, do the math and figure out how many people you need to drive to that campaign in order to reach that mark. Okay, and here's one thing I always tell people, don't get overwhelmed with data. I've had clients come to me with, notebooks and just hard drives stuffed full of information that you're going to have to try to sift through. So just take what's useful and how it relates directly to your campaign, and just discard the rest, right? This is a condition that I call DRIP, and that's data rich, information poor. So it's not about how much data you have, it's how much information, actionable information you can glean from that as it directly relates to your business goals and specifically your crowdfunding campaign. Okay, so building the team. So teams with 4 or more people raise 85% more money, and this is directly from Indiegogo themselves. So the roles, you typically want someone to have the vision. This is usually the founder, the CEO, whoever's driving the ship. You have an FTA, that's your foot to ass, and that's a technical term. And this is the person that really keeps the campaign on track. They make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're assigning tasks. They're following up with people to making sure everything's getting done. You need to have someone that can do research. You need to have someone to leverage social media correctly, and they need to have a utility person. Now, when I talk about social media, I'm not talking about your 16-year-old niece that's on Facebook all the time. I'm talking about people that are actually going to look for influencers, connect with influencers, write compelling copy, those type of things. And the utility person, this is kind of a floater. So this could be an intern, a volunteer, kind of a part-time person that's just going to kind of chip in where and if needed. And then the only other skills really that you need is someone to shoot a video and, of course, someone to write copy, like I said before. So that's it. I hope that kind of just gives you a high-level picture on how to take the risk out of crowdfunding. Definitely email me with any questions. We're going to be doing a series of these, and we're going to start creating some more of these based on your feedback. So definitely let us know how we can improve this. Leave your comments. We'd love to hear from you, and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks. Take care.